Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. Commander Masters is upon us, and while it doesn't advance the ongoing story for the game in a major way, it does give us several new cards that capture existing iconic characters, moments, and locations. Today, I am picking a handful of those cards to make into honorary story spotlights, because in any other set, they probably would be. Thank you to Wizards of the Coast for sponsoring this video, and check out my link to order Commander Masters right now. The first of our honorary story spotlights is Guff Rewrites History, an instant featuring the Planeswalker known as Commodore Guff. Guff lived on Dominaria a long time ago and was one of the 9 Titans assembled by Urza to fight the Phyrexians. The unique part about Guff is that he had a library full of books, including ones that held the fate of Dominaria. So he knew the Phyrexians were supposed to ultimately win the war. Guff was convinced to rewrite that history by one of his allies, but even after doing so, he was snuffed out by Yawgmoth's death cloud, and he never got to see his new version of things come to be. So we've got a card that tries to capture this aspect of his character, who may or may not have been all there upstairs, if you know what I mean. And it lets us cause a bit of mayhem on the battlefield and effectively rewrites the story your opponents were trying to tell. Let's jump over to Innistrad for our next honorary story spotlight, which is Battle at the Hellvault. The Planeswalker Sorin Markov considers himself the Lord and Protector of Innistrad, and this has forced him to make some controversial decisions regarding the plane's unique blend of humans and monsters. Sorin realized too many vampires feasting on humans would eventually exhaust the blood supply and doom them all. So, to keep things balanced, he created a guardian angel named Avacyn. Her job was to protect the humans, not just from vampires, but the other dangers of the plane as well. And to help with this, Sorin turned a sliver of Innistrad's own moon into a magical prison called the Hellvault. Over many years, Avacyn used the Hellvault as a holding cell for all of the terrible things she vanquished. Until one day, a demon named Griselbrand dragged her along into it as he himself was defeated. Thus, Avacyn was trapped inside along with all of the other creatures of the night she had been responsible for sealing away. Eventually, the planeswalker Liliana came to Innistrad looking to kill Griselbrand, and she forced a young Cathar named Thalia to break open the vault so she could get to him. This released untold terrors for Innistrad, but also gave them back their champion in the form of Avacyn. It also released the planeswalker Nahiri, which had huge consequences later, but that is a story for another time. The Battle at the Hellvault Saga captures this event by exiling threats for 2 turns, which represents Griselbrand and then Avacyn being sealed inside. And then the whole thing breaks open and releases everyone, and gives you a token version of the iconic angel. Avacyn is presently unmade in the story, so this saga is capturing a moment in time from our original visit to Innistrad, perhaps as told by the ever-observant Tamio, when she was, well, also not presently unmade. Well, at least we've got Ratchild to carry out her legacy, I guess. Anyway, Rise of the Eldrazi is my third honorary story spotlight. This one joins a short list of cards that share their name with a card set for Magic, which is pretty cool. The Eldrazi are beings that exist outside of normal time and space. Their home is the blind eternities, the aether between the planes that make up the multiverse. For reasons we don't fully understand, they will sometimes appear on a plane and consume it, with no regard for anyone or anything that might live there. Thanks to the efforts of 3 planeswalkers long ago, 3 Eldrazi Titans were sealed away on Zendikar, where they wouldn't be able to threaten anyone anymore. Eventually, however, they escaped their bonds and began destroying the land that had been used as their own prison. Rise of the Eldrazi captures the devastating nature of these mysterious beings. It uses colorless mana, which has become a major mechanic for this creature type, and blends together signature abilities from the original printings of the 3 Titans. Destroying a permanent comes from Ulamog, drawing 4 cards comes from Kozilek, and taking an extra turn comes from Emrakul, along with being uncounterable. Then the card exiles itself, mostly to prevent you from getting cheeky with it in your graveyard, very similar to how the Titans shuffle themselves back into your library, so you can't reanimate them either. So, if the Eldrazi were so powerful, how were they stopped the second time? If you're a fan of the channel, this shouldn't be a spoiler for you. I hope. On Zendikar, 4 planeswalkers rallied together to defend the plane from destruction, and their union is captured on my 4th and final Honorary Story Spotlight card, Gatewatch Beacon. Gideon, Chandra, Jace, and Nissa, who was native to the plane, joined forces and collectively defeated the Eldrazi threat. Each of them then swore an oath, and together they formed the Gatewatch, named after Seagate, the location on Zendikar where they made their heroic stand. The beacon pictured here is actually a hedron, one of the enchanted stones you can find floating all over Zendikar, and they were part of the original containment strategy for the Eldrazi. Over the following years, founding members of the Gatewatch would leave and come back, and one would even make the ultimate sacrifice. But for the moment shown on this card, everyone was present and took the oath knowing what it might someday cost them. And that's it. Those are 4 new cards from Commander Masters that I'm calling the Honorary Story Spotlights because they represent major events and characters from the Magic story. But the cool part about Commander is that you can use your deck to tell whatever story you want. So use my link down below to order some Commander Masters today and start writing your first chapter. And while you're poking around in the comments, let me know which Honorary Spotlight is your favorite. And then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya.